Hi, and welcome to our Maundy Thursday reflection as we continue our journey through Holy Week. And today in the story, I'm sure you all know, is the day where Jesus gave us the Last Supper, or as we might call it in other contexts, communion, the Eucharist, Holy Sacrament. There's lots of ways in which it gets described depending on your church traditional background. Some might just simply call it bread and wine. And it's a controversial subject. There's many at this time where we can't physically gather together in church, asking questions around whether we should be able to share communion digitally, whether we need to be actually present with each other, or whether there is a way in which we can do it even though we're not in the same place. There are some churches, URC, the United Methodist Church in America, and others that are allowing that to happen. There are other churches, the Catholics, the Anglicans, and the Methodist Church, who at this time will not let those who are ordained, like myself, to share in that way. Communion is one of those things that causes us a lot of arguments. How much gluten does there need to be in your bread for it to be bread? Are wafers okay? Is it the wine, or as we have in the Methodist Church, non-alcoholic wine, got enough grape in it for it to be received as wine? We have arguments about where we should take it or how we should take it. Should we kneel at a rail? Should it be passed amongst ourselves? Should we have one big cup that we all share from, or lots of little cups? There are all of these conversations that go on within the bounds of churches. There is lots of theology that is spoken about and talked through. And lots of people hold very different understandings of what happens when we gather around the bread and the wine. Now, if you've ever read the book by Andrew Roberts, Holy Habits, he mentions in his section on breaking bread around a conversation with a church leader who says, how have we made something so simple, so complicated? Because the fact is, this is a mystery. None of us really understand what is happening when we come and kneel at the altar in our church, when we are given bread and we are given wine, when it's prayed over. We don't really understand. We just know that it's something important, something special, something that connects us with God and with each other. So on that night when Jesus was with his disciples, he took bread. This is simple bread, flour, water, mixed together and heated up a little bit. And he breaks it and he gives it to his disciples and he shares it with them. He tells them to eat and explains that it's his body broken for them, and that whenever they eat it, they should remember him. Later on, he takes a cup and again he prays for it and he gives thanks. And he tells them again that they should share this, that it's a representation of his blood, of the new covenant. And so as he blesses these basic things, these would have been everyday, simple food sources for the people of Jesus' day. As they eat bread, as they share wine, he reinterprets that which they would have understood as the Passover meal. Something so simple, so easily accessible by so many people. And he offers it to them and says, this is a way in which you can remember what is about to happen. This is a way in which you can be part of this wider mystery that it is to share in bread and wine together. And yet, for many of us, we won't be able to do this. For many of us, we are at home and there is no way in which we can officially share together. And yet, there is that mystery and there is that knowing that God is bigger than all that we are. God is bigger than all that we might understand. And so wherever you might be, as you share your meal with your family tonight, maybe it's an opportunity for you to just acknowledge in that time, as Jesus did with his disciples that Last Supper, that God's presence is with you in your house right now. Whether you're sitting on your own because there's no other family with you, or whether you're surrounded by children and animals and everything else, that actually in that moment God is there. And whether you're eating simple bread or drinking fruit juice, whether you're having wine or water, whatever you might be sharing tonight, as you sit around that table, remember what Jesus did, what happens in the days that we will observe tomorrow with Good Friday through to Easter Sunday. Remember that he gave his life so that we could know forgiveness of sins, freedom into eternal life. Remember those things as you sit together, as you share your bread, as you drink your wine, as you eat whatever it is you have planned to eat tonight. Let's remember that Jesus gave us something so simple, so basic, something that anyone could have access to. And he shared it with those people that he was closest to and asked them to remember him when they did this again and again and again. In the book Holy Habits, Andrew Roberts, he shares some other stories. There's a story of Inderjit Bogle, a Methodist president of years gone by, sharing bread on a park bench with someone who was given bread from a bakery because he was homeless. Or there's the stories of the bread church, where people come together and they make and then eat this bread. And there's a recognition that it's in that sharing of this most basic of food sources that we experience something special. So I would encourage you tonight, as you're eating your tea with whoever you might be with, to acknowledge that Jesus is here. He is in that place where you are sat, and he is with you. And as you eat, remember that this night he was betrayed, that this night he was arrested and taken for trial, that tomorrow he would die, but he would rise again 3 days later. These are the things that we do this week, and we're doing them very differently. So we can't share communion sat in a church together as we would normally this night. And we can't do it on Easter Sunday morning as we would together, or on Good Friday when we meet in the church. But we can do it when we sit around a table in a very different way, as we share bread, as we drink, as we remember all that God has done for us. Join us again tomorrow. We'll be sharing in our final reflection before Easter Sunday. And I pray that you would know God with you tonight, that he would be present in whatever you do. And I hope to see you Easter Sunday morning. We'll be live streaming the service at 10:30. Please join us and celebrate together. Take care now. Bye.